Sweet, Devin. I'm so excited to talk about your guiding business and learn more about what you offer and why you love it so much. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Katie. It's good to talk to you again.
Yeah.
So we have,
First, yeah, could you just, sorry, I was just going to say, can you tell us a little bit about Wild Sage Mountain Guides, just to start us off? And then also what motivated you to start this business?
Yeah, absolutely. So Wild Sage Mountain Guides is a all-women guide business. It's owned by women, and we work with women out in the backcountry. And we are based out of the Park City, Salt Lake area. Most of our guiding takes place in the Uinta Mountains, which are just outside of Camas. And we specialize in backpacking for women at this point in time.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then, what got us into this? So I think you and I have kind of talked about before. So I've been in the outdoors for a long time, almost 10 years at this point. And I've worked in many different capacities in the outdoors, guiding specifically. I've worked with children, I've worked with adults, I've been a mountain guide in Alaska. I've kind of had a wide spectrum of outdoor experiences. And one of the things that resonated the most with me was working with women, specifically in these environments, whether that was like working with all female young women's groups, like children's groups, or working with adult women in a mountaineering setting, taking them up Rainier for the first time or taking them on a ski trip to Mount Baker. I just found that there was a unique reward from that I didn't get from my mixed gender groups or in mountaineering when I would guide mostly men at times. And part of it was this empowerment that these women were able to experience, which they also experienced in mixed gender groups. But in these all women groups, there was just this camaraderie and this energy that was shared and that was really special. And the bonds that these women were creating when they got out of these spaces was really special, both for me to be a part of and to witness. So that's where the women specific guiding came from. I wanted to be able to remind or give women the opportunity to see what they're capable of in those environments with less intimidating factors on top, whether that's like being in mixed gendered groups or being overwhelmed by coming into a situation and having male guides, some of the approachability of being a woman myself. And then the other part of the guiding thing was my mom and I went on a backpacking trip when she was in her early 50s, and it was her first backpacking trip that she had ever been on. And we did a very short backpacking trip. We went up to a lake in Colorado, and she just had such a profound experience out of all of it. She was borrowing most of my gear, and we got done with it, and she was just giddy with this idea that she could accomplish something like that, because it had been inaccessible in her brain. It had been inaccessible to her as an option in her age demographic, from what activities she had done in the past, which didn't include backpacking, but some hiking and some camping. And it blew my mind that such a simple thing that we did together was a barrier that she felt she couldn't overcome. And it made me realize that there are lots of women that believe that there's this barrier that exists between them and these opportunities. And so, being able to create a service that helps break down some of those barriers for women of all age demographics, not just the 20-somethings that went to outdoorsy colleges,
Totally. Yeah. And I think it's just so unique that you, Kate, and Marla are helping other women. And so it's a women guiding company, helping and bringing the outdoors accessible to other women. I just think that there's kind of a sense of camaraderie and community. And I just love that story about your mom too. And we talked about this on my podcast, Body Breaking Free. But yeah, the way that, she felt like she didn't maybe, or it wasn't accessible to her. And she thought maybe at her age, like going out in the outdoors was really intimidating. And, if you're new to backpacking, there's a lot of different aspects, and it's fun and exciting. And like in my life, like there's nothing that inspires me more. I love hiking, but backpacking kind of takes it to that next, that next stage. Like it's just offers the freedom of being outside and kind of the unknown. And oh, it's just like one of my favorite things. But for somebody that maybe new to backpacking, how would you say that Wild Sage takes away some of that intimidation factor?
Yeah, so something that we try to really advertise on our sites, especially when we do private custom trips, which allows a lot more flexibility for our clients, is the adjustability of our trip logistics. So whether that's how far we're going to hike in or what time we start in the day in order to give us many more hours in the day to accomplish that task. So not saying like we have to like rush into these spaces, making sure we can adjust for that, adjusting for how many days we're in those environments, and really trying, our goal is to try and cater these trips to these women, meet them where they're coming from, right? And so for sure, new experiences are going to ask things of people that maybe they haven't done before and stretch them into those comfort, outside of those comfort zones, into that stretch zone, that growth zone of experience. But we never want to put someone outside of that stretch zone into that fear-based space. And so trying to always rein in whatever it is that we're providing through communication and through talking to our groups and through saying, what is it that you want to get out of this experience? Do you want to hike 7 miles a day and do a 4-day trip and hike every day? Or do you want to hike in 1 mile, stay at a lake, we stay there for 2 or 3 days, and then we hike out and we get to have day hikes and we get to have base camp and an alpine experience? And, you know, just different ways of making sure that those barriers aren't so burdensome or intimidating for women. And I think too, just having the three of us as well, you know, we try to do a good job of communication and talking to people who are on the fence about what is it that you're afraid of, and if we're not the right guide service for you, how can we find someone that fits you? Because I do truly believe that these spaces and my experiences in the outdoors have been so powerful and important in who I am as a person, that, you know, my partner was making fun of me the other day. I was like, well, I just want to help everyone get outside. And she's like, yeah, but they should still pay us. And I'm like, I know they have to pay us, but I just want to help them, because I do think, yeah, I think that it is disheartening to hear that the outdoors are intimidating, but I know how intimidating they are because I have come leaps and bounds from where I started as an outdoor person. And so just letting other people know that, like, you too can go from backpacking once as a sophomore in high school and then not again for like 8 years to guiding on Denali if you want.
Totally. Yeah, I think like I just love your passion for it, and I can just tell that like the accessibility part, like making sure everybody feels like they deserve to be out there. And just like, I mean, obviously I just love how much you love backpacking and getting out there. And yeah, I think like for me too, like I recently, like I've had a ton of back pain, like my hips, like the pain goes all the way down my leg. And I know, you know, like people that you guys are going to be guiding, like maybe one of the blocks in their minds is something similar. You know, I can't carry a big backpack. And like we all, right, like change for humans, like our brain is wired to keep us in the comfortable, right? Because that's where it's most familiar. And so of course, when something new pops up, like we have a million reasons not to do it. Like the brain will spit out every single thing, every single reason not to do something. And I think like, you know, pain, like that can be a really intimidating thing, where as a guiding company, like that's why you hire a guiding company, right? And especially you three, like I think you guys are all just so compassionate people that you're just looking for like, okay, this is what's happening. Like, this is the limitations that we've got. Like, how can we work past it? And I just love that part about it, because there's just so many options, so many possibilities. Like what you were just saying, like how far you hike in, like how many miles or where you want to go, or, you know, if you guys carry in maybe some of the heavier stuff first, And then the clients wear lighter packs if they were, experiencing back pain or something. I just think that it would be such a shame for somebody that might be intimidated to go out in the backcountry just to do it, or not to do it, because the brain is, the mind has all that fear-based stories. But it's like, I was just with my family last week, and we did this big snowmobile trip into the Idaho backcountry, and did like this big ski trip. And I was like, there's no way in hell I'm getting on a snowmobile, because like I'm a beginner snowmobiler, and doing that for 6 hours to get into the cabin. And I know now, like every time I say like there's no way in hell, it's really when I need to go and do it. And when I do it, every single time, I feel like I've grown as a person. I've changed my perspective of myself in some way. I've just like, you can't get that from anywhere else, especially I feel like out in nature. So anyway, I'm just adding my own love into this conversation, but can you tell me about like why you love backpacking so much and what inspires you about it?
Yeah, I think it's funny, that phrase, like, there's no way in hell. I resonate so much with that, because I think not only, like you said, do you find at the end that it was worth the experience, but it's that no way in hell, the more I experience that feeling, it's less and less each time. It's like the more you get to do these no way in hell experiences, the next one's like, well, okay, maybe. It's like your perspective on, again, what you're capable of starts to shift. And that is really a huge part of why I love backpacking, why I love being outside, why I love expedition-based experiences, even when we're talking about shorter durations, not these full, Denali 22-day trips, like even single-day trips, or multi-night trips. I think you can still have pretty profound experiences. And I think for me, I grew up in a outdoorsy community in Colorado. I had the opportunity to do a lot of hiking. I didn't actually backpack for the first time until my sophomore year of high school, and I didn't backpack again until maybe my freshman year of college after that, which was pretty big stint of time, just to have like gone on this experience, been wildly intimidated. I was a super anxious kid, so I was overwhelmed by all the things I didn't know how to do, even simple stuff like I don't know how to inflate my sleeping pad. So I would like sit in my room and inflate my sleeping pad before anyone was going to see me inflate my sleeping pad, because I didn't want to be embarrassed. And so to like have had that experience, it was very neutral for me. And then to go out and start doing it again, doing it with friends, doing other backcountry experiences, starting to backcountry ski, starting to rock climb, all these other things that got me out and got me outside my comfort zone. And then going on longer expedition-based trips and realizing that not only the growth that you get for yourself, but these connections I was able to make to people in that environment felt more authentic, because you start to strip a lot of the external world things. And a phrase I don't like to use, because a friend of mine in college pointed it out once, is well, one day we're gonna have, if you're in the backcountry, saying I'll have to go back to the real world. And he was like, this is the real world, and the idea that we can't have that relationship to it is the thing that's wrong. It's not believing that this version where we have to go to jobs and we have to live traditional lives, whether that's a 9 to 5, whether that's a family life, whether that's home ownership, whatever those things look like, that's real world, and going out into the backcountry is not. And it's like both are the real world, and both are essential parts of experience too. And so yeah, I think just being in that space where you strip away some of those, the stresses are different and they're sometimes more immediate. So instead of being stressed, like when I was in school, being stressed about a paper that was due, that had to do with a grade, that had to do with graduating from school, that wasn't a direct reflection on who Devin was, but was a core part of my identity at the time, versus like, oh no, it's raining, should we set up a tent or not? Like immediate feedback for those situations. And I think that those sometimes stressful, but still stretch zone situations just outside comfort zone are where you your bonds become really strong with folks as well. So that's, I think, a key piece of it that, like I said, the what the hell, I don't know if I can do this part is a key piece. And just the raw beauty. There's not a time in my life where I've gone out into the backcountry and not been inspired at some point. Even when I'm trucking up a hill and I'm breathing hard and I'm stressed or I'm tired or I'm exhausted, there's always a point. And I don't have to make it to the summit. I think that's the other key too. It doesn't have to be a summit driven experience. It's about just being in those spaces. Because I've turned back from many tops of summits, many campsites I thought I'd get to for a variety of reasons. And those experiences still have these aha beautiful moments. I remember being down in Patagonia and seeing a glacier for the first time in my life and just bawling, just immediately crying because I was like, what is this? So
love it. Yeah, I think like you nailed it when you said like it's stripping away layers. Like that's how I feel. And I think like backpacking, especially when you get the opportunity to just get fully away, like if you can do a few nights away, like I just feel, I mean, out of like when I can get out of my routine and just like the benefit, like even if I go outside and go on a hike, like I get that benefit. But when I'm out in the backcountry for several days, like it's just stripping away layers of myself, and then I kind of get to like maybe a more true essence of who I am and how I want to feel. And yeah, I can bring that perspective back into my real, not my real life, but like yeah, like just I mean carry that with me. But yeah, I just love that expression. And yeah, I just love your passion and joy. I think that you, Marla, and Kate are just perfect for a guiding company. I know how much experience you guys have, and like it's just like your love and passion will just vibrate out to your clients. So thank you for sharing a little bit about your company. And yeah, thank you.
yeah, thanks.